It is true, my dear brothers and sisters, that the conversion experience is always a grace. It is not something that you can make it happen. Only God can make it happen. In fact, if you make it happen, that is your own experience. This is not from God. God's grace comes in very marvelous way, beyond our expectations. We can desire, but we cannot demand. Of course, although a religious experience is the grace of God, it also requires our cooperation, our response. So it is not purely just God's grace alone. It also requires our willingness to respond to that grace. Therefore, we need to examine that if some of us lack faith, lack zeal in our faith, is it because we don't have a real conversion experience? Maybe because that grace has not been given? Or is it because we have not responded to that grace? Well, let me say right from the start, that experience is indescribable, which is true. All religious experience can never be fully articulated. Of course, the external experience, the signs can be articulated. But the real personal encounter with the Lord could never be described. And so, my dear brothers and sisters, that's why those of us who have deep religious experience, we find it very frustrating trying to explain to people what we really had encountered. And some people think we are crazy, which is again always the case for those who have been transformed by the Lord radically. What about the aftermath of the experience? That's why there are some people who claim they have seen visions here, visions there, they have encountered God, but you can't see that after this encounter, they are praying over it, they are meditating on it. That experience must linger on, not just for 3 days, sometimes for weeks, months, and even years, because we keep going back to the experience, trying to understand deeper the significance of the experience. When it's a religious experience, you think you have last only for a few moments and that is over and you've forgotten all about it, then you can be sure it is not the religious experience. It is your own imagination. Some emotional encounter perhaps. It's a real experience. The presence of God continue to linger on in our hearts and we keep thinking about it and developing a greater understanding of that experience. If it is a real religious experience, there should be a personal encounter with the Lord. We must be able to somehow hear Him, perhaps not externally, but be able to hear Him deep in our hearts. There must be a personal relationship with the Lord. It is not some kind of just feelings of peace and love and joy. There must be a certain personal presence of the risen Lord in our life. Then we know that it is truly a religious experience. That we are encountering the risen Lord and not encountering our emotions and feelings alone. Of course, a religious experience will be manifested later on in these signs of peace, love, joy, compassion. Yes, this will be the signs. That's why the signs of a religious experience is a radical change. By the fruits you will know them. So if you find that your life hardly changed, even though you say you have encountered the Lord, well, it must be a very superficial experience, a passing experience, but it's not a deep encounter with the Lord. That's why your life are not changed. That's why many people, sometimes they've gone through even retreats. And after some time, within a week, they are back to square one. Go back to the old way of life. So those are not real encounters. It could be more emotional rather than a real encounter with the Lord. For real religious experience is a sense of mission. If the Lord entertains you with a real religious experience, He must have a mission for you. You have to do something out of that experience. You have been called. This sense of mission is a very important basis of a real religious experience. Intellectual faith alone cannot give you the sense of mission. Mission is a very deep experience. And so, my dear brothers and sisters, let us remember this. Even when we talk about religious experience, there is a continuity. When you say conversion, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a total break. Actually, it could be a fulfillment. It's a process, and the Lord is leading us to a closer union with Him and the realization of what He wants us to do for Him in His church, in the world.